thank you all for being here. We're very excited to be with you tonight and talk about not only Elevator, but Shannon and Emiliano's history with their different business ventures. So what we're trying to do with E-Commerce and Friends is just bring together the e-commerce community, the startup community, and really kind of be a place where that community can develop and grow and thrive. We want to share Shannon and Emiliano's story, and we hope you walk away with some tips and tricks as it regards to starting a business or running an e-commerce business, but also hear a really cool story. So without further ado.
Hi everybody, my name is Shannon Lerda, and
my name is Emiliano Lerda.
And we are just going to give a little bit of background about how we got started, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. And yeah, I'm happy to share a little bit about. Do you want to start us off?
Sure. Before we get started with the pet product e-commerce business fulfilled by Amazon that we were doing under Shannon's leadership, myself and the kids were helping at home and always trying to grow the business. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. First, I'm originally from Argentina, and by the way, we are co-founders of Elevator, and I'm originally from Argentina. So when you think about the traits of the stereotypical or the ultimate entrepreneur, when you leave your house, your home, your area of comfort, your culture, and you travel to another country where you know nobody, I think of persistence, I think of the tenacity, I think of the resourcefulness. And first, cheers, and I salute all the immigrants that either now or in the past have made and paved the path so that we could be here today. Because I really think that part of being an entrepreneur is seeking discomfort and not being comfortable with the status quo, right? So starting with that, Shannon and I met shortly after I arrived at the University of Northern Iowa. And ever since we started dating in college was it freshman year?
Yeah.
Freshman year, we started businesses. So before the pet product business, I'll tell you a few things that we started. One was electronics. It was called Vista Enterprises. And we bought and sold electronics, on UBid. Does anybody here remember that platform? It was kind of like an alternative to eBay. And I don't know whatever happened to that platform or if it's still around or not, but that's how old we are.
2001.
2001? So that's a long time ago. Then after that, we also, when we were already living here in Omaha, we did a homemade lamps business. So these were made with, like handmade with pipes, with those iron pipes. And Shannon was in charge of the design. I was in charge of the electrical. So I really want to thank the three people that bought the 3 lamps that we sold. May they be happy and enjoying those lamps still today. And they were called Felix lamps. And that was because my great-grandfather's name was Felix in Argentina. So then Shannon, I became executive director of the Immigrant Legal Center, which is now called Immigrant Legal Center. It used to be called Justice for Our Neighbors of Nebraska. And I think of that experience as an entrepreneur experience too, because we grew that organization from we have 3 full-time employees when I started, and 8.5 years later we have 42 full-time employees. We opened 7 satellite locations across the state of Nebraska and Southwest Iowa. We had an annual operating budget that went from $250,000 a year to 4.2. By the way, the organization keeps growing now after I have left, and they have merged with the Refugee Empowerment Center. So they're doing great work. But building a team and going through those growing pains taught me a lot of transferable skills and lessons that I still today, go back to as we're building Elevator. So that all those experiences, as disjointed as they may seem, they do all make sense when you think about where we're at here now. Shannon majored in finance at the University of Northern Iowa. She worked for Principal Financial Group, underwriting large real estate commercial loans. I worked after Immigrant Legal Center for 3 years with Paul and Annette Smith in their family office, and learned a lot about real estate investment and development. Again, like Steve Jobs said, sometimes it's hard to connect the dots looking forward, but it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards. And I truly believe that's true. All these random experiences that we had to kind of prepare us for this, to really seize this opportunity with Elevator. So that gives you a little bit of a high-level overview as to things that we did and we learned over the years. And I'm going to pass on the microphone to Shannon so she can tell you more about the pet product business. And we are happy to share learn lessons and some of the tips that, for tactics and things that helped us along the way. I would say to get started, given the experience that we have shared, one of the main skills that I learned over time is to delegate, and you can't do anything by yourself. You need to work with a team, and learning how to go from being a good violin player to being the one that coordinates all the different instruments in the orchestra. It's a very, very important lesson. It's hard, and make sure there's a lot of books that can help you with that. And I'm happy to talk to you if you stay about different books that have been helpful to me. And then I would say persistence. And, I love the fact that we try so many different things, and I don't see them as failures. I saw each one of them as it was a great learning opportunity for us. So with that, I'll pass it on to Shannon so she can share more about the pet product business.
Thank you. That was an excellent overview and covering 18 years of history. We've been together as a couple for 24. It'll be 24 years on February 1st. And so,
of course, I knew that.
So that was an excellent overview. I really appreciate you doing that. And, one of the things that I wanted to add is that, how many people here have ever started a business or are currently working on a business? That's a lot. That's like 98%. So, that the path of an entrepreneur is not linear. It's a lot of this and then 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 this. And so, it takes a lot of grit and it takes a lot of putting one foot in front of the other. And, my advice would just be to do something every day and to focus on the big things that move the needle, prioritizing, because you're never going to get to your whole to-do list. And so just focusing on those priority things each day is what is going to keep things moving forward. So when Emiliano went to the Immigrant Legal Center, I started doing affiliate websites. So I'd review products and write reviews on those products. I had self-taught myself how to make a website and edit a website, and I hated it. But I wrote a lot of reviews. I think some of the websites might still be floating around out there in the universe. One was theblenderexperts.com, thekettleexperts.com. It was just, it was a learning lesson. I spent a lot of time and a lot of growth. And through that, I realized that I didn't really like creating websites and I hated writing reviews. But it would be much more lucrative to actually sell products on Amazon than just review products. So I thought we should have an e-commerce company where we're actually selling products on Amazon, and then you get a much larger margin from the sales. And so we started trying different different products to see what sold well. We weren't creating a product of our own. We were just reselling from wholesalers, and we came into the pet products niche. And people love their pets. They spend a lot of money on their pets. It was a good niche for us. So we all were working on the business. We had our kids putting things into poly bags. We had our kids helping put labels. Emiliano would stay up with me till 1 or 2 in the morning, packing boxes and shipping them to Amazon. So having an e-commerce business and running it from home was a really great learning experience. We did that for about 2.5 years before we really were outgrowing our house. These are the pictures of the evidence of, Emiliano thankfully thought to take a photo because I was not in the mood for photography at that moment. This was probably at 1 a.m. and after a full day of packing boxes, and I was so tired. And he's like, smile. But thankfully now we have some photos to share of what it is like. And if any of you are running your business from home, you may have experienced that you receive shipments on your doorstep, whether it's raining or whether you're out of town or on vacation, and you have to figure out how to have someone grab it off your porch and put it inside. So the shipping and receiving is a nightmare. I mean, it's just really inconvenient all around. Some of the other pain points were once we got to a point where it was, I think we got up to about $200,000 in annual revenue. And at that point, we needed help. And it's very awkward to try to hire somebody for a position where they work at your house. It's awkward. I mean, so you really wanted to have that next step where we were looking for a space outside of our house. We looked at a lot of warehouses. We looked at self-storage and, just could not find the right thing. The warehouses were too large. Didn't really want to go to a warehouse every day. That didn't seem like a cool, fun day-to-day, existence is going to some warehouse to be by yourself. So, we were just frustrated. Commercial warehouse leases require a 3 to 5 year commitment, and then they want to look at your financials, and we didn't have a long history. The business had only been up for like 2 years and had only been profitable for the previous year. So it was, not a great story to tell a landlord, so they want somebody who they're sure is going to be there and grow for 5 years. So, we basically loved the idea of co-working. Co-working seemed really cool. I mean, they had, coffee and snacks and drinks and other people working on their business. And I knew that co-working wasn't going to be a good fit for this business because of all the boxes and, eventually there were going to be pallets and shipping and receiving. It wouldn't be a great fit. So out of frustration one day, I said, all these co-working places, but somebody needs to do co-warehousing. I wanted co-warehousing where we could share a warehouse and, have, community alongside of it and not be all working by ourselves. So Emiliano, visionary that he is, said, co-warehousing, tell me more about that, because he was the one who said, this is not something that would just be helpful for our business, but it could potentially help a lot of other businesses. So I will pass it back because this is how we came up with the story of Elevator, which is really, the story of us and how we work together.
I also think that there's another part of that. I'd like to connect the dots on, the affiliate business turning to the pet product business. The pet product business was going to turn on to a white label, like where you buy a product. And that's what we were analyzing, really. Like the spreadsheets at home were more about, if we're going to invest in buying a container full of something, what was that probably going to be? And that's what, if you were to know us during that time, that would have been the conversation, the ongoing conversation at home is, how do we scale and what is the bottleneck of the pet product business? And the answer to that was volume. We just need to do what we did last year times 100. And so, how do you get that? And you get, there gradually. So that was a big part of the conversation part. And then the other part of the conversation was, and we want to add a product of our own with our own labeling and our own packaging, which requires a significant upfront investment. And you're taking the risk because now you have one product that you need to make sure you sell, and you're hoping that nobody else is going to get into that space, and then you're out of luck. And that happens. With the pet product business, we had about 150 SKUs. So we had a lot of diversity. And if somebody was coming in and, even Amazon was coming in and we were out of that one product, we still had 149 other products. So there was some comfort on that. But our business, because pet products were not gated during COVID, Amazon kind of put a hold on non-essentials, and pet products were considered essential. So we were also wondering, is our business growing just because, or is this sustained growth that we can plan around and, get a building? And when you go out and you find the one small and medium warehouse, they wanted a 3 or a 5 year contract. We couldn't see clearly farther than 6 or 9 months at a time. So it was kind of scary to lock yourself into a set number of square feet for 3 to 5 years. And then the other thing is you start putting the details. Let's assume that we go forward with the space that we saw. Now we need to think who's going to be there. Now we need to think, do we need to hire somebody to receive shipments? Because if we're not there, where are they going to leave it? And that area is not going to be necessarily an area that everybody loves hanging out or spending time. We need to get internet. We need to pay for utilities. And then you start adding all of those things up. And then you just think, this is more expensive than we originally thought because there's more details and there's more to it. So all of that was happening, and really co-warehousing wasn't the focus of our conversations and our attentions. But yet when Shannon came up with what we really need is co-warehousing, I had also in my background, working with real estate investments and development, I was very familiar with the business model for co-working. And so I immediately knew there were a couple of variables that were very impactful in that business model that were going to be different with co-warehousing, which it's what really turned out to be true. So anyway, so that's how we ended up telling a friend and an investor, hey, we're thinking about this business. And that friend, that investor, ended up helping us secure this building, and then helping us with an investment, an initial investment, and bringing other investors as well. So I ran out of stuff to say.
That doesn't usually happen very often. I would say that, we started talking about co-warehousing. I thought, and he thought that I had just made up a word, and so we started doing our research. And when we looked at co-warehousing on Google, and we found that there was another company so this was 2021, and there was another company in Atlanta that had started doing a similar co-warehousing concept, and they were having tremendous success, and they had just started in 2019. So that company, already has 10 or 12 locations. At the time they had 1 or 2, and we could see that there was at least, this wasn't a crazy idea that would never work. This was an idea that we could validate because there's someone else doing it. And although we're doing it in a different way, it was very reassuring and validating to see that there was somebody having success doing that. We knew that, if this, a lot of the players in co-warehousing are going to places like large A markets like, Dallas and Atlanta and Phoenix. And we feel like there's smaller markets that are often overlooked, and Omaha is one of them. So proving it out in Omaha feels really good for us. We have built a great team, and we're very, very lucky to have them with us. We could not function even one day without them, and they're here. They're here.
Can you please?
You guys want to stand up? They're all here tonight.
Stand up if you're part of the team.
Levi joined us first. Levi was the brave first one, employee number one, who joined us before we even opened our doors, and also Josh also joined before we even opened. And then Miles and Emily and Leah, I mean, they keep the place running day to day. One day without them and would be in big trouble. So thank you guys. Building the team and choosing great partners was very important for our success, and they've been essential for us. So surround yourself with really smart people. Find talented people who are excited about what you're doing, and they're not coming just for the pay. And I know that, and we really appreciate you guys. They're excited to come, every day.
Can I also add? There's something else that most people don't really think about, but if you're starting a business, make sure you find the right legal counsel. I went to law school. There's an attorney here in the room. They pant us, everybody. But it's so true. I really and we use for our business formation, business structure is Enterprise Legal Studio. We have somebody that is representing them here tonight too. So Josh, also a former team member of ours, was working with them in Nebraska Angels. But really, I cannot say or stress this enough. Having the right legal counsel is really going to help you navigate, especially if you're seeking outside investors. If you're going to bring investors, whether institutional investors or individual investors, having the right legal counsel can make it or break it for you. I mean, it's more important than most people realize. If that's in any way helpful. I hope that you do pay attention to that. As you're growing, structuring things the right way, it provides you with the right incentives and the right protections, and it provides the investors with the right protections and the right incentives.
So I want to give you just a little bit of we've been open here for a year and 3 months. It feels a lot longer. Steve made that point. He's like, it feels like you guys have been here longer. I'm like, yeah, it does feel like it's been a long time. But we have been open a year and 3 months. We are 93% occupied. We have 85 companies that call Elevator their place of business, and we're very grateful for them. One of the interesting things that we found is who our members are is 70% of them are minority or woman-owned companies, and that's been something that we're have sat with and thought about. I think when you make this, the traditional commercial real estate market is not accessible to all people, and so when you lower the barrier to getting started and it's a great baby step, and from getting out of your house or your first official space of your own, it makes it more accessible to all. And it's a little bit, we offer month-to-month terms as well as 6-month and 12-month terms. And we make sure that our membership fees are all inclusive. So it includes utilities and snow removal and toilet paper and snacks and drinks. And so everything is kind of just bundled up. You don't have to think about it. And it's just one price. It makes it really simple for everybody and easy to understand. So do you want to tell us about some of the things we learned over the first year? What were the major learned lessons for Elevator?
Yeah. I think the staff can also come in and tell me if I forget any of them. I think the importance of sales. I mean, sales, don't underestimate the power, the importance of sales. This is something that I know seems like obvious, but we really thought that the space was so unique and the offering was so unique. We really thought that people will automatically learn about us. But it's such a new concept that really we realized that having people here to tour the space was very, very important. Kind of really going through the third floor. If you give a tour, I think every time you give a tour, and if you haven't had a tour, there's an opportunity for you to tour the space tonight too, if you want to, or another day. But I really always hear the same thing by the third floor. Everybody goes, "Oh, now I understand it. I really didn't quite get it before." Because people's expectations are very different. Like when you think a warehouse, you don't think of a space like this. So having that, like the importance of reaching out, lead generation, creating that really strong top of the funnel pipeline, that became essentially, it was a huge lesson learned. I wish we would have learned that lesson sooner.
Mm-hmm. The only other one I would add would be hospitality. We thought, this is a building and people, will be drawn to the building because of the space and they need space. And we knew that we were going to build some community components around it and offer programming like this and like our lunch and learns and our other monthly events. But really it was hospitality. We didn't realize how much of a hospitality business we were building. And as much as, just like in a hotel service, you have to have world-class hospitality. And if you stumble and you don't provide world-class hospitality, your members will let you know. And that's great. We need that feedback loop that always makes us... We need that feedback loop, because if we don't get that feedback, then we don't know what our members and customers care about. So I would say get feedback from your customers. If someone buys your product and you never hear from them again, reach out, be like, hey, what did you think about it? Anything you might have suggested we do differently? So get feedback from your customers. If they're not offering it up, seek it out. What else? Anything else?
I already mentioned the legal part. So with sales comes the pipeline, lead generation, and closing. Closing is an important part of sales. Hospitality. Staff or team, any other, one more thing that we can mention? Culture. Well, that's an important aspect for every business. Peter Drucker said, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. And he was right. It's true. The culture, is something that you never stop working. So I don't feel like we have achieved, a certain goal. You never do. You always work. It's also something that is easy to lose. And you lose sight sometimes, and you get busy, staff gets busy, and everybody gets busy. But the point of culture is you're always working on it, and you're always you're reminding each other that as a company, we have values, and we need to live those values and hire for those values. And that's, that feedback loop internally to make sure that we stay true to those values. It's an ongoing work. So I do feel like it's a lesson learned, but it's a lesson that you never stop learning it. What else?
So I think, let's talk about what's next for Elevator, and then we can open up for Q&A. Does that sound good? All right. So Emiliano and I have been, relying on our team so much, because right now our focus is on growing Elevator. We are looking at opening a new location for Elevator somewhere in the Midwest, TBD. We're very, very close on selecting a specific site, and we've been working on this for quite some time. So we're hopeful that we can help other communities and other small businesses. And we just really, what motivates us is really hearing those stories from our members, and we get them a lot. I mean, we get stories from our members about how they've gained new clients, or they've grown their business, or doubled their sales since they've been here. We know what it is like to be very isolated. When we were doing the e-commerce business from home, we go a week without seeing another adult. And it was, it's not fun. I mean, we didn't know anybody who was doing what we were doing. we had nobody to talk to when we were, stumped, I would go to, Google. And so Google would, help me out. But it was just, we very much craved having a community of people who were doing similar things, different things, but all kind of working on their own, businesses. Anything to add to that?
No, we're excited about the future, and it's a gradual. If you ever run long distances, focus on the next mile. Don't let the big overarching goal or dream overwhelm you. I mean, you're headed in that direction. You know that, but remember, it's one step at a time. And so don't let that big, lofty dream overwhelm you. Be disciplined, be passionate, but be disciplined at the same time. We are EOS. So like our company runs on EOS. It's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. This is, if you read a book called Traction, this is where, this system kind of draws from books like Good to Great, books like Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. So it really cohesively brings structure, clarity around goals, around values. It brings clarity about who is responsible for what. And it also brings important aspects of culture. So highly recommend that. That's one way to organize and to structure and to build processes in a company. But there are other ways to do that. So it's just important to have a good operating system for your company. So that's the last thing I would probably talk about. And then we should open it for questions.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
One question. Why did you guys call it elevator? Did you already say that? I missed it.
Well, that's, yeah. So, this is another part of the story that is interesting too. We incorporated, our legal name is Wheelhouse. That was the first name that we really wanted to pursue. As we talked to an attorney that registered the name and trademarked the name, we realized that was going to be subject to a lot of potential challenges. And so we're like, okay, well, let's go back to the drawing board. So we did. So we had an impromptu brainstorming session with one of our friends and investors. And the line of questioning was, what do you actually do? What do you do for your members? What do you actually do? And we'll help them grow. We'll help them pursue their dreams. It will help them elevate their business to the next level. And that led to the name Elevator. And it landed, and we sat on it. And also, at the same time, this used to be the headquarters of the O'Keefe Elevator Company.
Oh, cool.
And so there was a, multi-layer meaning, kind of a tip of the hat to the former tenants that did this beautiful job in renovating this building. It's our first building, our headquarters. And so we thought, you know what? Nice reference to the elevator company that work here, O'Keefe, and also is representative of what we do for our members, help them elevate their business and bring it to new heights.
Yeah, good question.
Yes. Well, first, go Panthers. I didn't know you guys went to
Yeah.
Go Panthers. Go
They're my
Panthers.
second team, but anyway.
That's
The
awesome.
lesser known.
So specifically on the co-warehousing part, I think I know this answer, but have you guys answer? What makes the difference between your co-warehousing and a third-party logistics company, which in a sense is co-warehousing, but it's literally in a warehouse to where, why you didn't send your products or answers that for your solution of.
I can start and then, yeah. So first, it's a different business model. The, third-party logistics or fulfillment component, you don't even have to go to the warehouse. In fact, we use a 3PL or third-party logistics. We use that for the pet product business. We will buy products from the distributors or manufacturers, and then send it directly to a warehouse in, I think was it Dallas?
Yeah.
It was in Texas, so I'm pretty sure it was Dallas. And the warehouse will receive our shipments. We will give them shipment instructions, and then they will repackage based on Amazon's instructions, and then it will be shipped from there to the Amazon distribution centers. So, it's a business model that doesn't even require the business owner to be in the building. So the community component is not part of it, and it's really about, having a lot of hands on deck to process shipments, especially during the busy season, right? To open boxes, package, label, and then repackage, and then ship them out. So that's anything else?
Yeah, no, I would say that we did try using a 3PL because we weren't making our own products. We were just buying from wholesalers and selling another brand's products on Amazon. So we did try the 3PL. It went very badly. We would know that they received the boxes, and they wouldn't check them in for days or weeks. And then things would get lost and mixed up with someone else's things. Or, I would say send in 30 units of this dog shampoo, and they would send in 30 units of that same brand dog conditioner. And then so everything that would go to Amazon would then get returned. And so it had so much returns, so much breakage and losses that it was just, it was either just not a well-run 3PL but it wasn't a good fit. So as soon as possible, we brought it back into our house and then went on trying to find another solution. Yeah, good question. Yes.
Shannon, I think you had mentioned that when you went to Google to look up co-warehousing, you found some. And what then differentiated the way that you're doing co-warehousing from those initial ones that you looked at for the initial idea?
Yeah, so the other co-warehousing, kind of competitors that we've found nationally are doing co-warehousing in what I would say is a more traditional way of what you would think of a warehouse being. It's in an industrial park. It's on the edge of town. It's in a lot of semi-truck and semi-traffic with no amenities to walk or short drive. So we are doing co-warehousing differently because our concept, we can do it in suburban areas, but for this location, for sure, it's more urban than any other co-warehousing concept that's out there. And then I think we focus a lot more on the community, and providing events and intentionally networking our members together and be like, hey, you need to meet that person, or you need to talk to that business. So just being more intentional about the community.
The only thing I will add is we're going to secondary markets. Our competitors, at least not all of them, but the leading competitors have been going to the top tier markets. So that was also another opportunity that we saw. Is to go be first to market in secondary markets like Omaha. So yeah, that's another opportunity and another factor that makes us unique and different.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Emily.
I'm curious just about you having all of these pet products in your home. Were there any that you were like, these are going to go like hotcakes, and you're like, I have 1,000 dog chew toys or something? Was there anything you were just like, why do we have this? Or something that surprised you that sold really well?
Well, first of all, how long has it been since we last, we were active with the pet product business? 2021?
2021.
Recently, we still received some stuff that we're still living somewhere and get returns. It's funny because we still have pet products laying around at home. And we donate them, but so if anybody here is ever interested in a chew toy for a dog, we probably can provide that for you for free.
Yeah, it was also a trick because you try to guess, how many, they were selling in a month and how many competitors were selling on that same listing and how much volume you should order, because you didn't want to order more than a month or two of volume, because then if the price dropped or Amazon came onto the listing and underpriced everybody, you'd be stuck with the product or you'd just sell it at a loss. So it was always a balance of ordering not too much and not too little. But the best selling product and most profitable product that we had, do you guys remember Petit Paw? It's like a twirling Dremel for dog nails. I think they're out of business now, but they had the refill packs. So not the actual Dremel Petit Paw itself, but the refill packs that came with this little, spinning wheel that will, like sandpaper for getting your dog's nails down. I was buying those off of eBay and anywhere I could find because you could buy them for $1 or $2 and sell them for like whatever they were going for, 15, something like that. So I bought as much of that as we possibly could until basically you couldn't find it anywhere else ever. And because I think they stopped making it, so people were trying to get their hands on it because they had this Dremel and they weren't making the refill parts for it anymore.
But if anybody's interested, I mean, there's a software that helps you analyze the first of all, the pricing and change pricing automatically. There's software that will help you analyze sales velocity and so you can decide what to buy and what volume. So there's a system to this. There's a lot of detailed research that goes into making decisions about what you buy, how much you buy.
When you started, it seems you were very in tune with the positions you needed to fill immediately. And I know Josh leads your marketing, and that was a critical position you knew right from the beginning. Like, when somebody starts out or when somebody has a small business, what advice do you have in regard to, in addition to having a great legal team, what other positions do you recommend people gear up for?
Great question, Pam. Thank you. By the way, I think first step is know thyself. So what skills do you honestly have that can be significant additive to the business? And then in our case, what are our collective skills? And then also, because you need to kind of do a little inventory, right? Like, okay, this is what I have and this is what I don't have. And so marketing definitely was something that we didn't have. And Josh should get a lot of credit because when we were starting, Josh was actually working, part-time, going to school, and people will stop us and say, who's doing all your marketing and all your social media?
What company did you
What
hire?
company? Like, if people thought we had a team. And it was Josh. Absolutely. And, back to employee number one, Levi. I mean, Levi, we knew that it was important to have somebody in our team that was very much part of the social fabric of the entrepreneur and startup ecosystem. And I think all of you know Levi, and if you don't, make sure to make it a point to know Levi, because he's one of the best connected people I have ever met. And so Levi was also somebody who brought a lot of skills that neither one of us have. So I think it starts with you. It starts with you being honest with yourself, and then starting to and then you go, okay, strategically, what do I need next? Miles brought this attention to detail and help us build a system around sales and a process around sales that now he's going to take that and apply the same kind of framework to build systems and processes across the company as we aim to scale the company. Right? And then Emily and Leah, they have their superpowers like hospitality, right? And that is exactly what they're doing. So I think, personally, I think both, the first two hires that we did, which would have been, Levi and Josh, these are things that were really important to us. So anything else?
So you don't do anything in the pet industry anymore, and do you just do this? Like, what was the transition like?
So we also have 2 boys, and they're 13 and 11, and they're wonderful and very independent and responsible. But, I think for speaking for myself personally, I only have so many hours in a day, and I couldn't comprehend running 2 businesses. And so we wound down the pet supplies business to focus solely on Elevator. And I always know that I can bring that back to life. Like I have the experience, the connections, and the knowledge that we can bring that back if we need to or want to. But I really want to be intentional and purposeful about carving out and leaving time, for family time too, because that's always hard.
I will also say that in that line of work, if somebody wants to do that, don't be shy. Reach out and make sure you talk to Shannon or me, but really Shannon's going to be the real, very helpful person. And I think that what some people sometimes you think of, competition, but no, when it comes to that line of work, the Fulfilled by Amazon, I think it's absolutely, no, there's no sense of competition. So if somebody said, hey, I want to start a pet product buying and selling Fulfilled by Amazon,
Tell you everything
we'll tell you absolutely everything we know and tell you about the softwares that we use. Maybe there's new stuff now. But yeah, so it's absolutely, there's no sense of, I'm going to be guarded or we're going to be guarded. No. So that's something interesting about buying and selling online. It's like, there's really not, like nobody really is going to, it doesn't bother you at all.
Why did you choose this over the debt pay stuff? Because you already knew debt pay was bringing in revenue, and this is uncertain. So what was the reasoning behind that?
I mean, I can start by scalability. And there's a lot of upside and scalability. And to me, it was in an area that kind of brought a lot of the things that we had experienced and were dear and near to our hearts. So like our understanding collectively of real estate, commercial real estate, our understanding of e-commerce, and then our love and passion for community. I can't think of a better business to pour your heart and soul into for us than something that kind of met all of those 3 requirements and has a lot of outside potential and a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and I would say that, the scale was the one thing. This is a much larger scale project. I mean, we're definitely all in on Elevator, and we know that we have to make this a success. So we can't do anything else that's going to distract us from this main project. So the scale, and I would also just say, talk about something that's really exciting and feels good to come to work every day. And we're working 7 days a week. And if you don't love what you're doing, then it makes it much harder to put in the time. The pet products was great, and I was enjoying doing it and working on it together with the kids and as a family activity. But this, compared to that, was just spoke to me, as on a level where I feel like it's so genuine and authentic. So we just love doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
One more?
Yes,
One more.
please.
What is what you mentioned you went to law school as well. What area of law did you go to? And are you thinking Elevator Argentina is my question.
Oh, I love that.
That was a two-part question.
No, so I'll repeat the question. So first, what did I specialize? I went to law school. I'm a licensed attorney in Iowa. I don't practice. I keep up with my CLEs. But if you have a little question, don't ask me. This Dave Pantos is here. He can answer those. I specialize. I have 3 certificates. When I went to Drake Law School, I specialized in food and agricultural law, in international comparative law and human rights, and in public service law. And I did not take business formation, corporate law. And I just recently saw one of the professors that was there when I was in law school. And I told him, I'm so sorry. I wish I would have taken your class. But I think that's also true that again, part of this journey of like, it's not linear, and sometimes if law school teaches you a lot of skills that are transferable to any field. And the person who told me to go to law school said, hey, go to law school because you are going to, be able to analyze. It's going to help you in business, and in the analytical and logical thinking skills. And go to law school because it's going to give you credibility. And those things were true. What else? I mean, I learned how to be analytical and critical and think, and then know how to research and how to find answers. And know, the hallmark to a good attorney is to know what you don't know. And so for me to also say, hey, I'm a licensed attorney, but I have a great legal team that I will pose a question and never assume that I know just because I went to law school. Yeah, that's something that you need to be careful, because when you're making business decisions or even operation related decisions, personnel related decisions, to be able to say, I'm tempted to read this and come up with a conclusion, but then I better go and ask somebody who's practicing in this area, who's reading the latest, because in a common law system, it's not just about what's written as a law, but also precedent setting cases that are sources of law. So you have to know yourself and be careful. So I think law school taught me that too, to be careful not to pretend that I know more than I know. And what was the second part of the question?
Elevator Argentina.
Elevator Argentina. Oh man, I'd love to do something international, but again, like I said earlier, one step at a time. I would love to start thinking about international locations, but right now, the very next milestone and the next challenge to solve for is location number 2, location number 3. I need to make location number 2, number 3. We need to make, and I'm looking at the team, not just, so it's we need to make location number 2, number 3 a reality. We need to meet and exceed expectations. We need to knock it out of the park. And then we can talk about more locations in the country. And then I think once we have that second wave of growth, we can just then say, okay, can we do this internationally? And does it make sense? I think a business of this kind lends itself for international expansion, but legal structures and legal formation and basically the legal system in different countries will actually also be different, and you need to be thoughtful and careful about that. That's part of the the challenge that you need to manage. So you need to be thoughtful about that too.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.